has more to sing. But the question is, that's when Shabbat, there is the Shir Shel Shabbat, besides there's an extra song on Shabbat, and with the extra song on Shabbat comes extra 9 blows of the trumpets in honor of the extra song that's going on Shabbat. And the extra song is because of the extra korban. That's why there's Musaf. Now the question is, let's say there's like this Pei Shabbat. This Pei Shabbat was Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh. So the question is, Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh, what did you say, Simon? Right. So now the question is, what happens regarding the singing in the Beit HaMikdash? There's a special song that they sing, the Leviim sing on Shabbat. As you know, we say, Hasher Shayavim Hayomer Beit HaMikdash B'Yom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbat, right? There's a song for the Leviim on Shabbat. The question is, what about Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh has also a special song that the Leviim sing. But the question is, what do you do when Rosh Chodesh and Shabbat come out on the same day? Do you go ahead and do you get both? Do you get 2 songs on the deal, or do you get one song on the deal? Now, the shir that the Leviim sang on Shabbat by the Musaf, by the extra korban on Musaf, meaning there's the regular in the morning, Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbat. That would be the morning song by the morning korban, the Tamid. But what did they sing? What did they sing by the Musaf? What did they? Excuse me. What did the Leviim sing by the Musaf? So they sang portions from Pashat Hazinu. That's what they sang, and on Rosh Chodesh they had a different song. So now there's an opinion in the Gemara that says that every Musaf, if you have multiple Musafim, you have Rosh Chodesh, you have Shabbat, each Musaf will get its own song and its own nine sounds of the trumpets will be blown during the song. The song of the Leviim would be broken up into 3 parts, and there would be in each part they would blow Tkiya, a Truah, and a Tkiya. According to Rav Acha, when there was multiple Musafim, each Musaf gets its own trumpet sounds, and therefore there'll be many more sounds when you have a double header of Musafim. You'll have double header of blowing of the trumpet. That was his opinion. The trumpet is a trumpet. These are silver trumpets that were blown by the Kohanim. But in addition, it seems like the main mitzvah for the korbanot was the blowing of trumpets, but it also says b'chatzotro v'kol shofar hariu lefnei Hashem. So the pasuk says there was that's the pasuk from Tanakh, that there's trumpets and shofar. So it would seem that most probably the shofar accompanied the trumpet, but the main focus, the pasuk says like this, Doctor: Ubnei Aharon haKohanim, the children of Aaron the Kohanim, Yitku'u, they should blow b'chatzotrot. The Torah says they should blow in these trumpets. So the verse itself, in the Chumash itself, only mentions trumpet. When it comes to this, when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, we need to bring the merit of the shofar of Yitzchak in front of Hashem, that we should be remembered. Hashem should remember us for a great year. So specifically, we use a shofar not made out of silver. We use a shofar from an animal we use it from a ram is the best way to do it as a merit for us that Hashem should see the binding of Yitzchak through the blowing of the shofar. But that is by the shofar Rosh Hashanah. But the shofar. But here the focus is on the trumpets, and I could suggest why trumpets is the main focus on the korban, and on bringing these korbanot. When you bring the korban olah in the morning, the regular burnt offering in the morning, the tamid shel shachar, the offering in the afternoon, there was these blowings of the trumpet. A trumpet is a much more celebratory instrument than a shofar. And the idea was when you're bringing, because it says, the pasuk says, ubiyom simchatchem. Here's another pasuk. In the day of your rejoicing, moadechem, your holidays, uberoshei chashechem, on Rosh Chodesh. So these are all festival type of days. Uskatem b'chatzot. These festival days. I want you to blow with those trumpets. And alalotechem for the korban olah that's being brought on, and shamechem. And it'll be a good zikaron. Hashem will look at this and remember you in a very positive way, which we could say is that you're doing the service in the Beit HaMikdash with simcha. Hashem wants that Judaism, Torah has to be simcha. You have to enjoy Judaism. You have to make it, people have to feel the simcha, the beauty, the happiness of Judaism. So Hashem says, look, when you're doing service in the Beit HaMikdash, when you're bringing these korbanot, I want trumpets. There's going to be trumpet sounds. It's beautiful. It's happy. We're doing our avodah. We're doing service, which is really how the Rabbeinu Bachai explains beautifully. Every mitzvah has two parts. There's two mitzvot for every mitzvah. One mitzvah is doing the mitzvah itself. We have a mitzvah put on tefillin, mitzvah to keep Shabbat. The mitzvah is keep Shabbat, is keep on Shabbat. But there's another mitzvah. Is to enjoy the mitzvah. It's to enjoy, and that's really the job of parents, is to bring the simcha, the enjoyment of Judaism to the children. If parents just give over to their kids, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got that, and they only see what you got, what you have, the strictness of Judaism, and if they don't see, and if they look at Judaism as strict, but they don't see the beauty of it, then what happens is when the kids get older, they say, maybe I don't want it. I don't enjoy it. I don't see the beauty. I don't enjoy it enough. But if Judaism is given over to the children with what? This is what you have to do, but it's something beautiful, something great, something enjoyable, then that's sustainable, that's going to remain. And therefore, we had the Beteshes, we had the Levies, the Leviim. The Leviim would sing every day in the Beit HaMikdash. When they would be pouring the wine on the Mizbeach, the Leviim are singing. What do we have to have a choir for? And they were accompanied by many musical instruments. Independent of this blowing of the trumpets by these korbanot, there was this whole band and the whole choir in the Beit HaMikdash. And what's the reason for that? Because the avodah, the service has to be done with simcha. Should be done with simcha, So maybe, I mean, on the one hand, you're happy. On the one hand, you also have to realize maybe it's the idea. Don't overdo the happiness. Meaning to say, you have to keep the happiness has to be within. You have to be happy. Make sure the happiness does not become a happiness of kalat rosh, of lightheadedness, but it should be, a happiness, but within proper. And their trumpets, and they would be blowing shofar also. But then there was also, in addition, when they were pouring the wine on the mizbeach, they were singing. They would be singing a song. Hashir Shahaya Levim Omrim Beit Hamikdash. 7 days a week, the Leviim are singing, accompanied with music. With music. So that is that is what some of the ideas of. And again, every mitzvah you do, you have two mitzvahs, two mitzvot, the mitzvah and the enjoyment of the mitzvah. So if you did a mitzvah and you didn't enjoy it, you got credit for the mitzvah, but you lost out the mitzvah of enjoying the mitzvah. You know, in the Tochacha, in the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Jewish people, there's a very famous pasuk, and in the yeshivot, the Balei Musa talk about it. What did Moshe Rabbeinu say to the Jewish people? Tachat asher lo avadta Hashem Elokecha, you did not serve Hashem b'simcha. The reason why we had all the trouble, all the tochacha, the punishment to the Jewish people, is because when Judaism was not done b'simcha, the service of Hashem was not done with enjoyment, then I don't follow. People stop following, and that's the. And by the way, that's what Moshe Feinstein said. And Moshe Feinstein says that we lost a lot of Jews to Judaism because in America, in the 30s and the 40s, many Jewish people would say to their children, it's difficult to be a shves is zayin yid. That's a Yiddish expression. They would say it's difficult to be Jewish. They would complain about the fact that all the difficulties of losing a job on Friday. If you don't come to work on Saturday, don't come back. And what happened was, when you gave over to their children that Judaism is difficult, so the children said, I'm not looking for it. I don't want difficulty. There's a great story. I love the story, so I'm going to share with everybody. I was once at a convention and someone spoke and he said a beautiful story. He said, on the Lower East Side, as you know, there are many old Sukkot on the Lower East Side, and somebody said to somebody else, I want to show you one of the most beautiful Sukkot on the Lower East Side. And he takes them to this place, and he says, what's so beautiful about the Sukkah? And he shows them, look by the schach. You see those papers, those pink papers, or whatever the color papers they were on the schach? Yeah, what is that? He says, those are all the pink slips that the guy was given on Friday, every Friday when he would not come back to work. And he saved all, how do you like that, Ralph? He saved all those pink slips, and he's adorning and beautifying his sukkah. That is so beautiful to him, that it's so cherished by him, because Shabbat was so important that he understood it was worth it for him not to come in on Shabbat, because Shabbat is not for sale. And I just want to tell you on a side note, somebody commented, many of those religious people who lost their job on Friday, they decided they can no longer be employees of other people. Rather, they have to be self-employed. They have to open up their own business. So therefore, they'll be able to go ahead and not have the problem of losing their job on Shabbat. Many of them, as a result of that, became very financially well off, because instead of working for other people, they became the boss themselves, and they had to buy their own business or whatever it was, and then became very successful. Okay, we are on, in the Gemara, we are on 54b. You're welcome, Dr. Rosen. We have 54b. We are 54b, number 3. Now, the last thing that we started yesterday was the Gemara the the Gemara says that on Rosh Chodesh that came out on Shabbat, they would push away the Shabbat, and they would go ahead and they push away the song of Shabbat. And the Gemara thought that it means that actually, what does it mean to push away the song of Shabbat? That you would not sing the song of the Leviim when it came to the Musaf. The Leviim would not sing the song of Shabbat, only the song of Rosh Chodesh. And the Gemara said, if it's true that every Musaf, every extra korbanot that were done in honor of the day gets its own trumpet sounds, 9 sounds of the trumpets, so therefore there should have been an extra song for those 9 sounds. So why should the song of Shabbat be pushed away when you should be able to go ahead and get those extra 9 sounds? Because you said, Rav Acha says that every Musaf got an additional 9 sounds of the trumpet. So the Gemara says it doesn't mean that they pushed off the Shabbat song. Rather, what it means is that they gave precedence to the Rosh Chodesh song before the Shabbat song. You could push something away. You could say, I'm pushing this off, means I'm pushing this off. This is totally not there. I'm pushing it off completely. Or I'm pushing it off could also be, I'm pushing it, mean I'm delaying it. I'm delaying the Shabbat song, not I'm pushing it off completely. That's what the Gemara wants to suggest. That of course you're not going to lose the Shabbat song completely. Rather, you're just going to push it off to make the Rosh Chodesh song first. And the Gemara had a very famous question. The question was, we have a rule called Tadir V'She'ena Tadir, a mitzvah that's more frequent than the other mitzvah. What do you do first? You do the more frequent mitzvah. So the mitzvah of Shabbat is more frequent. The song of Shabbat, the song that they would sing on Shabbat Musaf, was the song from Ha'azinu. That song, Shabbat Musaf, is every week. Rosh Chodesh coming out of Shabbat is not as often. So when you have something that's more frequent than the other, you always go after the more frequent one. So being that's the case, so why would you do Rosh Chodesh song first? You should do the song that's more sung more often, which is the song of Shabbat. Like I mentioned, let's say when last Shabbat was Shabbat Rosh Chodesh, we had 2 Sifrei Torah. We take out, I don't know about Ashkenazim, they take out 2 Sifrei Torah on that day. Which Sefer Torah do you read first? The Shabbat reading or the Rosh Chodesh reading? The Shabbat reading. Why is the Shabbat reading read first? Because that's more frequent. That reading is read every the regular normal reading is read more often than the Rosh Chodesh reading. So you get the Shabbat first. So why would we do Rosh Chodesh first? That's the Gemara's question. If you're going to do both songs, you should go ahead and do the song of Shabbat first. That was the Gemara's question. The Gemara said that they had a special interest. There was some concept that compelled them to do Rosh Chodesh first, because they wanted to show the community that it's Rosh Chodesh, that there's no there's no question about that today is Rosh Chodesh. Getting the word out and letting the people recognize that it's Rosh Chodesh, that it was obvious to the court that they sanctified it, because most people did not see the moon, right? The witnesses would come and say, we saw a sighting of the moon. They're looking for the moon, or the people are looking for the moon. But most people didn't see the moon, so they wanted to get out to show the masses of the people as soon as possible. And to show that, they gave that honor. They gave that honor to Rosh Chodesh by singing that song first. And therefore, maybe if you would sing it second, maybe people would not have that same confidence in the fact that it was Rosh Chodesh. So the Gemara says that you want to make some sort of hekirah. you wanna make some. See, the commentary says, since everyone did not cite the new moon, it was publicized as much as possible that it was declared as Rosh Chodesh. Okay, now so the Gemara asked the question. V'hayake, that we're up to 54b3 on the right side. V'hayake Rav Dinan on the right, the last paragraph. We do something else to show, to publicize that it's Rosh Chodesh, to give honor to the Rosh Chodesh, that everyone should know that it's Rosh Chodesh. What is the other thing that we do? The following, the Gemara says. Like we do in the Mishnah, Chelvei Tamid Shel Shachar. They slaughtered the animal. After they slaughtered the animal, right? They cut it into different pieces, and they slaughtered the animal. They poured it. They sprinkled the blood on the mizbeach. They cut it into pieces, and 6 kohanim that merited to bring the limbs of the offering to the altar would place the pieces of the offering on the ramp of the altar, and those limbs would remain on the ramp until the kohanim read the Shema, and they brought the ketoret in the morning, and they cleaned out the menorah, and then the one who we want to welcome Ralph's grandchild to the class. We say good morning. Thank you for joining. And the one that had the merit to bring the limbs from the ramp to the mizbeach, then afterwards he would bring it to the mizbeach. Now, where would they place the limbs of the korban until they went ahead and brought it as the korban? But remember, what do we say? They cut it into pieces. They put it by the ramp, and then after they put it on the ramp, they left it there for a certain amount of time. The kohanim had to go ahead and say the Kriyat Shema, and they had to go ahead and bring the ketoret, and they had to go ahead and clean out the menorah. Took a little time, and then after that, those were done. Then they brought those pieces. They put on the mizbeach. Where did they place it? So it says that the morning fats, they were placed they were placed within the first half of the ramp. The ramp was 32 amot long. The 32 amot could be between 45 and around 45 to 60 something feet long. It's a nice long ramp. The first half of the ramp, the first 16 amot, the first 20 something feet, 25 to 32 feet, however the amma is, they would place the fats on that ramp, the first half of the ramp. They placed it, the fats of the daily offering were placed on the east side of the ramp. And the fats of the musafim, of the extra korban in honor of Shabbat or Chodesh, or musafim, not whichever musaf that was, there was placed opposite them, mechatzi hakevesh ulamata b'mayrav, on the west side. So you got some on the east side. You got for the daily offering, it was on the east side. Then musaf, the extra offering that was brought in that day, was on the west side. You don't want to mix up the tamid, because if you put everything together, they mix up. They bring the wrong thing. There's a certain order. The daily offering has to come first before the musaf. So you have to go ahead and place the musafim on the west side. But the Rosh Chodesh musaf, that was placed on Rosh Chodesh Nitanin Tachat Karkov HaMizbeach, in a special place, Ulamata, and meaning it was on the Musaf of Rosh Chodesh. Those, when they put the fats that they put down the fats by the ramp, they put it in the top half of the, not the first half of the ramp, the second half of the ramp, the upper part of the ramp. And so, and Rabbi Yochanan, and what was the reason why they put the limbs of the Rosh Chodesh higher up, higher than the other, because the other limbs you got on this side and you got on the first 16 amot of the ramp. The first, let's say, 20 something feet of the ramp. But the Rosh Chodesh parts, the fat you put on the second half of the ramp, further in, which would be higher up on the ramp than the other pieces, because you wanted to show the people the Leida Shehukva Rosh Chodesh Bizmano, and everybody will see that it's Rosh Chodesh. It's very recognizable. Pieces are higher up. So and Rashi says by being higher up, it shows that they're chashuvim, that they're very important. Oh, yeah. And everybody will know that Rosh Chodesh was set in its right time. So we see there's some other recognition that we do. So what are you're telling me that the Rosh Chodesh song came first to show the importance of Rosh Chodesh, that everybody should know it's Rosh Chodesh, but we see we did this thing first. We went ahead and we placed the pieces, the fats, higher up on the ramp to show the importance of Rosh Chodesh. So the Gemara says, Treya Kayav Dinan. We did two things to show the importance of Rosh Chodesh. The Chazi, the people who saw this thing saw this. The Chazi B'hai Chazi. People who saw that. I mean, not everyone sees everything. So each action served as a purpose to show Rosh Chodesh. So the people who saw where the fats were placed on Rosh Chodesh in the highest spot saw the importance that we give it to Rosh Chodesh. And the people that heard the song of the Levium, singing the Rosh Chodesh first song, singing the Rosh Chodesh song first, also saw the importance we're giving to Rosh Chodesh. So sometimes we can do multiple things, just like we have tzitzis, we wear tzitzis to remind us of mitzvot. We have a mezuzah that reminds us of doing mitzvot. We do a lot of things that we have tefillin. We have a lot of things that we surround ourselves with to constantly remind us of doing mitzvot. So too, you can have multiple things to show you the greatness that today is Rosh Chodesh. I want to wish everyone a beautiful Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're back on Monday. So they would send messages out, the courts send out messages. They notified the people. They had a whole system. They went on mountains with torches, different things they did to get the word out. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Great to see you. This is yes.